Welcome back to the Education Vanguard. Today we're doing something a little different. We're handing over the microphone to special guest Kerstin Bender, who's on our FAYS Asia Pacific Committee. She sat down with the dynamic duo behind the School of Play, Dale Sidebottom and Paul Campbell, live at the FAYS conference in Singapore. In this episode, they dive deep into the science of fun, sharing how their programs are boosting happiness by 30% and why play isn't just for PE teachers, it's a whole school necessity. What I love about this conversation, and Dale and Paul in general, is their vulnerability and their power about talking about the necessity of connecting students and parents through simple, screen-free activities. So even if you're not a teacher, as a parent, you'll take a lot away from this conversation. So get ready for some infectious energy and practical tips to bring more joy into your classroom, schools, or home. Over to Kerstin with Dale and Paul.
Hello, welcome to this year's FAYS conference. My name is Kerstin Bender. I'm going to be the host for this podcast. I currently work at the American School of Dubai as the athletics coordinator. And today I have with me Dale Sidebottom and Paul Campbell, and they're from the School of Play, and they're going to chat with us a little bit right now. Is this your first time at FAYS?
Yeah, this is my first time.
Yes, it is my first time also. Loving it so far. It's been awesome.
The thing I've loved about it most, Kirstin, is over the years, been a lot of different conferences we'll talk about. And like yourself, I think we met in 2016 and I have not seen you in all that time, but you still remember and you give a hug. And there's been so many people like that. And that's why I love coming to conferences, but more importantly, the international scene. I think it's amazing. So first time at FAYS, but feel like we already know a lot of people anyway, so it's been a lovely experience.
Okay, that's great to hear. And so maybe since you mentioned that, what has changed for you since 2016 when we saw each other last at a conference?
What's changed for me? I'll be honest, that first conference I met you at was the first conference I ever went to as an attendee or anything. I'd never even been to a conference, let alone talk at one. It really opened my eyes from the activities and ideas I was doing, and they were very well received. And it was the second year I actually went to Connected PE in Dubai. And after my session, I had people lining up saying, can you come to our school for this week? And I'm like, I'm on a red-eye flight. I'm teaching in Melbourne tomorrow. And they're like, you need to stop teaching. So what's changed for me is probably belief in what I was doing in myself. And I've gone all in. So yeah, I've been full-time now, 9 years with multiple different company names. And Paul joined me about a year and a half ago and we created the School of Play. And I suppose now the best thing I love about it is we're not just impacting PE. A lot of the work we do now is with full schools. And it's amazing to see the impact that play is having, not only for mental health and wellbeing, but for connecting staff, students and schooling communities. Yeah, so I'm really proud of that.
I haven't seen how it's changed too much because I'm the new kid in the block and I've only been in, so I've only seen it, what we've got. But what I've learned from FAYS is the sense of community. And obviously it's now its 9th year and we're going to your 10th year next year. And I can just see, obviously this is the biggest participation you've had, 477 educators.
Yeah.
It's the biggest one so far. And I've no doubt that the 10th year one will knock over 500.
Yeah.
And I think that's an incredible achievement to be proud of. And so obviously what's changed within FAYS is the participation numbers. But what I think hasn't changed, or I can pick up from my first one, is that sense of community that you are creating
Very
here.
true.
That is incredibly powerful. And that's what I'm taking away from it.
Okay.
For sure.
Thank you very much. And you both held a keynote together. From that keynote, or maybe also the sessions that you did throughout, what do you hope that the attendees take away from it the most? What is it that you hope?
I particularly around the keynote and the sessions is I just want the teachers to take something away for themselves. I think too often as educators we give ourselves to everybody else, and that's why our message is very clear. You're an individual first before anything else, and so I hope they had a good experience for first. They were able to connect with people they didn't know. They'll be able to be present because these are things in a world that is so dynamic and so fast that particularly in education and international schools, they're busy places. So to allow all the teachers in the room that space in that keynote to just be present and have that time for themselves, that makes me feel pretty cool. So yeah, my big thing is I just want them to take away something that they can do for themselves to make them the best version they can be.
I'd love them to be inspired and motivated to put their own spin on play. So we plant the seeds and we teach them how simple play can be and how powerful it can be. And so my hope is that they walk away with a bit of motivation, inspiration, and a bit of confidence, go, you know what, I'm going to create something of my own that's playful, just to inject it for the first 5 minutes of my class, just to do something completely different. And then I think once you've done one of them, you'll very quickly then do a second one and a third one. Before you know it, you're becoming very playful as a teacher and educator, and getting really creative with ways to engage your kids and get that cognitive development going on and strategic development and connectedness going on all through play. I think if we get more teachers using play, I think our classrooms are going to be much happier, connected places.
Okay. And maybe to tap into this a little bit more, because you just mentioned you used to do it more for PE teachers and the communities in that area, but you've now moved to do training for whole schools, the whole school community, with all the teachers and all the educators, no matter their subject is. So maybe you can speak a little bit about, is there a different approach for you, why there is or why there isn't, and maybe also what you do for the schools or departments when you do that work?
Yeah, of course, there's just less burpees now.
That's true. I remember those.
I know, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone
And bear
would go,
crawls. Yeah.
They're worse than burpees.
Everyone would come to my sessions and I'd get emails after. We enjoyed it, but geez, I'm sore. So I think the thing that really changed was COVID. Like all of a sudden, bang, I had no work. Everything was done, and I'm all about, and we are now building face-to-face connection. Couldn't do that. So I had to get really creative with being able to do it virtually. And what I was able to do was a lot of those like activities I did in the Keynote around noughts and crosses and Pictionary and different things like that allowed people to do it virtually but still get the same result. And I'm like, wow, this is something that doesn't require movement. It makes everyone feel safe and everyone gets something they need out of it. So I suppose I can't say it wouldn't have happened, but without COVID, I don't think I would have had to probably put the time and effort in to rejig what we did to make it work. So yeah, to answer your question, a lot of things we do are very similar, but instead of doing movement-based, now we do activities with very simple games. Like we use a lot of dice. We play games like noughts and crosses, we use Pictionary, although they're very basic activities that people can do that don't require much skill. And I think that's really important so everyone can have some success, because that's important when we have success. And when we have success, we're present, we can connect with other people. And yeah, it's a pretty powerful thing when you see a whole school community. For example, a couple of months ago I was at NIST International School and we had 300 odd educators in the room, and just to see them all connecting and getting something out of it, I don't know, you pinch yourself. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think in line with your question, the mental health side of things and wellbeing side of things has fallen upon PE health teachers predominantly in the past. But that can't be the case. It's got to be a whole school approach. And PE health teachers are incredible at building relationships with their students, right? That's one of their strengths. And the students tend to really enjoy PE and health. That's where they feel connected and they love going to those subjects. So I think what we're teaching all educators is that if you can have this mindset of the old adage of students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Mm-hmm. And so if you can put a little bit of emphasis in, if it's math, if it's literacy, it's geography, whatever it might be, but you're still caring about them as a human being and worrying about their well-being, I think if it's a whole school approach, I think the culture of a school is going to be incredible, and the connectedness of that school is going to be incredible. And I don't think it should just fall upon the PE health teachers to nurture that well-being side of a student. I think every educator's got a responsibility to look after it.
Yeah, and definitely helps also to build a community if you try and approach everybody and bring them together.
Yeah.
Now, another thing I wanted to ask is, both of you have a really high energy level, and I think that's really good for the School of Play and what you do. But not everybody in education or in general has that kind of high energy. And you've already said you really want, from the math teacher to the librarian, everybody be able to use those tools. But what would you say, or what tips would you have for an educator who's maybe more introvert and more quiet type, which is perfectly fine, because that's what our kids need as well growing up. They can't just be on high energy all the time.
And your kids need to learn from a variety of personality types, because that's life as well. I think the key for me is just to be vulnerable yourself. You don't have to be full of energy. You don't have to rock in how we rock in. But I think if you demonstrate some vulnerability yourself and you, I guess, model it, and you open up a little bit and you share a little bit of yourself with your students, I think you'll very quickly realize that your students are then comfortable doing our activities, no matter what the energy level. It's just that creating that safe space within your classroom. And a lot of that comes from modeling and being vulnerable yourself.
And I think the comparison, never compare yourself to anybody else. And we always say this in our sessions, that you don't want to be us. You don't want to be that, because you've already got other skill sets or qualities that we don't. Be you. And sometimes that's hard. But I think that's the best thing about play. It allows people to try new things, and allows people to fail, allows people to own that and get on with it. That's what our students need to see. So my thing is, be you. If it doesn't work, that's really the best time because you can laugh at yourself. The kids feel comfortable, they see that, and then you keep going with that. But yeah, don't compare yourself. I think, particularly in a world that is social media and everyone's comparing everything, think about what you do well and do that to your best ability.
Thank you. It's a very good reminder. And I think we all need to hear that a little bit more often. So bringing it back to FACE and the conference also, if you would design your ideal FACE session, maybe besides the keynote or maybe even besides the sessions you've offered, because you've probably had your own learnings already being here, what would it be about and who would you want in the room with you?
I'm easy. I just attended an amazing session from Nick Haywood all around leadership and culture. And that's right up my alley. So if you're asking me what I'd design, I'll be honest with you, I'd get Nick involved. And I'd love to co-create, to share what we do and I guess merge some of the ways we go about it. I think it'd be incredibly powerful for people.
Good, he's moving back to Australia.
It is very good, and
you must be really happy.
We literally just had a conversation downstairs 15 minutes ago about connecting and still doing some work together and those sorts of things. Yeah, I'd love to, and I think other people who have ran some sessions would love to collaborate and join forces and merge. And yeah, I think my perfect phase thing would be to get Nick involved and run a session together. Really cool.
I'll be honest, as we said, I haven't done a lot of PE stuff lately, and I just ran a PE fitness one this morning, play-based fitness, and I loved it. There's a couple of activities that Paul doesn't let me do anymore, and he wasn't in the room, so I got to do it, and I was sweating everywhere, and I was loving it. So to be honest, I got to do the nut push. I don't know if you remember this one, but it's this Australian dance, and I do this fitness thing, and whenever we do it, people can't do it that well, but I really enjoy it, and Paul often says, it's not about you, Dale, but I really enjoy doing that. So to be honest, I love doing that session.
So going back to the roots, maybe a little bit.
In other words, his response was, I want to do an Australian dance.
We played Scrabble, we played Monopoly, we did the nut push.
We did teach in our pre-conference day workshop, we taught our participants the Tina Turner nut bush, and they loved it,
Didn't they? Yeah, I love it more than anyone. So I think sometimes as educators, we need to do things that make us happy. And while you're doing it, I can't see what anyone else is doing anyway. I was just in flow. So anyway, that's a bit selfish, but I enjoy doing it.
No, that's fine. That's great. Thanks. And can you share a story of a school or educator who's put your ideas into practice? Maybe they've reached out to you and let you know how it changed their life or just their profession and the way they do something.
Yeah, for sure. We've got numerous. I'm going to a principal called Jodie Bray in Australia in a little suburb called Clyde out in Australia. Not so little anymore. It's a growing rate of knots. But Jodie is phenomenal. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her school really quickly. She's got a beautiful primary school and they've got a special needs school next door. The special needs school is being built and there was going to be a big fence put up between the special needs school and the school. It got held up and it was supposed to be built before the start of the school year. And the fence got held up, so they were forced to start the school year without the fence. So obviously we had a merging of students with special needs and they never put the fence up.
Okay.
The power of what they've taught each other and that sense of community. And I just think it's a beautiful story. So that gives you a bit of info about what Jodie is as a principal. But she's taken our program, she's taken our curriculum. We've done probably 5 sessions with her staff now. They use our curriculum. We do some work with their student leaders. And she's just gone all in on social and emotional learning to the point where she's created dedicated subjects embedded in the curriculum weekly. They've identified students that are still struggling a little bit with social emotional learning and they pull them out of their classrooms and use our curriculum explicitly just to help those students get to that where they need to be. And the feeling of the place, you walk in that school and it is a happy school. Everybody, like the whole place is just smiling and you can feel it. And I often say when I go back, I just walk in through the doors because everybody's in a really, supportive, collaborative place. It's awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Mine's a little bit different. Over COVID, I was fortunate enough to do obviously a lot of online sessions. And the thing with that is I found it really hard because you never saw anybody and you didn't know the impact it was having. But I did one for an early learning centre called ECMS and there was about 800 people online. It was their online conference. I was the main keynote. Anyway, earlier this year, I actually keynoted their main conference face-to-face. There's like 700 or 800 people in the room. And at the end of it, this lady came up to me and it's probably going to make me cry, gave me a hug and started crying and said, over COVID, you saved my son's life and my life. And do you remember that? It's making me cry a little bit now. You don't know the impact you're having on someone. And
people.
Just to hear someone say that, like, what you spoke about
Yeah.
actually saved both of our lives. It's
Yeah.
like
No,
things
that's really big.
Yeah,
And it's also good to hear that back, because then it just helps you to understand how much of an impact you have, and
Yeah.
that you need to keep going, because I'm sure it's not always easy, right?
It's
And
not always easy, but I think, when you get things like that, doesn't happen all the time.
No.
Trust us. Like,
Yeah.
but Paul was talking like the director of the company. I was saying I was with this lady, and he turned around, I was just crying. He's like, what are you doing,
I was
mate?
like, what happened? It was a beautiful story. She was lovely, but she was very appreciative. Yeah, it was really powerful, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that's,
Okay, thank you. What trends or shifts in education are you watching closely right now?
I'm probably a little bit biased on this one, but when I started out, I would get principals or schools ring up and send me a huge list of all the outcomes. This. And now all they say is we want our staff, our students to have fun. That's it. So there's a big shift in just allowing people to have fun and connect, whereas before it was all these other things. So for me, that's been really refreshing that now people, and it probably comes with obviously doing something for a long time, you get a bit of a reputation, but people just want us to come in now and do what we do, which is really nice.
Yep. What I'd like to see more of a shift in, I'm going to take the question there a little bit, and it was touched upon yesterday afternoon with the Rising Star presentation. I want to see more of a shift of intentional staff and staff wellbeing programs being introduced in schools. In my former life, I was an assistant principal of wellbeing and positive education back home in Australia, and I used to get people who would give massage. So I get masseuses into the school, and staff would book themselves in, and they were so foreign. They were like, where has this come from? And it was just a 20-minute massage during their school day, but did it twice a year, but how valued they felt was incredible. And then cooking lessons and yoga classes and a staff connectedness program was born. And hearing that presentation yesterday made me think, and I think more principals, the fact that big organisations in the corporate world are amazing at staff wellbeing, why aren't schools better at it? And I think, and back home in Australia, there's a massive teacher shortage. It is huge at the moment, like quite alarming. So I think schools need to be really intentional with staff wellbeing and connectedness programs for staff, because we're always talking about the whole student, and we need to talk about the whole teacher a lot more too.
Yeah, so they can be the better educator,
Yeah,
right? Because
100%.
We what we pass on to our kids, we should be able to do for ourselves, or get the support to be able to do for ourselves.
As an educator, when you're working on yourself and you're the best version of yourself, you walk into your classroom with a spring in your step.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your fuse is longer. The way you deal with poor behaviours and inverted brackets, those sorts of things, is better. It's a no-brainer for me. Be more intentional and focus more on the staff wellbeing side of things. Really important. That's what I want to see more of.
Okay.
I like that.
And I think we're almost done now. What I was thinking, and I don't know if that's something we can record, but
We can do anything.
We can do
we can do anything.
Let's do anything.
Like, I don't know how we do it in support.
We have the magical power of editing. So let it roll.
You also spoke about that you do work with a lot of international schools. I think you mentioned you've been to 25 different countries or so.
Very good,
You can
yes.
correct that
Yeah,
number
no.
if it's wrong.
Yep.
So just hopefully a lot of people listen to this podcast. And so how would schools approach you? What is, like, working at an international school myself, I know PD days, they're not like, it's not like we have weeks or too many days throughout the year. A lot of times there's a big induction week at the beginning of the year. How do you approach it? Especially you flying from Australia, which is far away from a lot of other countries.
From everywhere.
Yeah. How do you approach all of that? Maybe to give schools a little bit of an idea how that works.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so we've been very fortunate now to go to a lot of different countries. It looks different wherever you go. And I think that's the best thing about it. We can tailor it however you like. A lot of schools get us over at the start of the year. So, for example, I was at NIST. We were at NIST for 3 days where we worked with all their staff, their leadership team. We did parent sessions and we did student sessions. So they were able to weave that into their daily timetable. But traditionally, it'd be like a weekend. So schools would get us over and they'd tell other schools in the area. So example, like in Dubai or Beijing or wherever, and we'd have a host school and we'd run a weekend workshop where people would come to that workshop. But the best way to probably see what we do is just go to www.theschoolofplay.co. You can read a little bit more about that. And if you go up the top right-hand corner and hit contact and start the conversation, there's no one size fits all. No school's the same. And everybody, what we do is very very adaptable. We can tailor it to suit anybody. So I don't know if you've got anything.
Follow us on our social media platforms to get an idea of how things look and feel. But our model is definitely shifting away from just student focus and staff focus. As Dale said, we want to do with that whole school community, and we're massive on trying to get it over the school fence and trying to get parents involved as much as we possibly can. Because when you can triangulate things, you got a lot more success out of that. Yeah, we would love to work with the whole school community as much as possible. But if you're interested in having us out, just reach out through social media or through our website, whatever it might be, and we'd love to support. That's for sure.
Okay. But now, of course, I have another question, because you just spoke about that you get parents involved.
Yep.
And that's something obviously we haven't seen at a conference now
Yeah.
yet. And it totally makes sense, because just in my last session, also talking about the female athlete, Ash Fiddler from IS Beijing, she was also talking about training isn't just for the staff, for the PE teachers and for the students. We need to bring in the parents. So it makes total sense. So thank you for pointing that out. But how do you, again, differentiate maybe the sessions?
Yep.
Do you do also games like with them that they could do with their own kids?
Yeah.
Or what is it that you do with the parents?
Every session we do is playful, because engagement is, as an educator, engagement is the number one thing for learning to stick. Okay, so you've got to feel it. Wellbeing especially can't be taught. You've got to feel it, I think, to want to go away and do it and work on it, because if it feels good, you're like, that felt good, I want more of that feeling. So yes, our parent sessions are definitely playful. I'll be honest with you, a lot of the parent sessions, they get invited to an information night at school or a school, and all the rows of chairs, and they're sitting down waiting for a PowerPoint presentation, and Dale and I get them up and start clapping, you know what I mean? And doing 1, 2, 3 and those, and very quickly they're like, wow, what is going on? And the feedback we often get is that was completely different to what we thought was going to happen, because we've never had a parent information session at a school like that. But I'm going to share one quick story. We did one a few weeks ago back home, and the father came up to us and he was really thankful. And good on him. He said, listen, I've just realized that I've been practicing gratitude with my boys in a really boring way. And I've been boring them to death, because every day we sit at the dinner table and I get them to write down 3 things they're grateful for. And I now realize how arduous that has been for them. And I just want to thank you, because you've now given me a real great toolkit for some really playful, fun ways that I can still get the benefits of gratitude whilst playing with my kids, so I can get that relationship development going on with them. I don't label it anymore. Just sit down, okay, kids, 3 things you're grateful for. That's labeling it. But rather than the kids, let's come and play some dice towers together. You know what I mean? And the kids go, let's play dice towers. And next thing we're opening up and talking about the good stuff in life. So I think the parents really appreciate the fact that they learn some new tools to build a relationship with their kids, but still get the benefits of that wellbeing focus.
And that's why we've always found it hard to get parents in the room. So that's why the book released this year, 365 Days of Play, was for families. But what we're finding is it works just as well in the classroom with schools and teachers. One of the things recently at NIST, we did obviously reducing device time with games, and that's how we get them in the room. So that's the important part, reducing screens. And we've got data and everything around what we do, but then we give them an experience, because adults are just as bad as the kids.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, like 100%. So you can't tell people what to do. They need to feel it. And parents are exactly the same. We did a different one as well at NIST after school for all year 12 and 13 students and their parent to come along. So allowing them to connect and reduce stress and anxiety and things around obviously a really busy and tough part of their life. And that was incredible, because they didn't realize, they thought they were just coming to learn about studying things, but they did essentially the keynote that everyone did the other day, and they're sharing about things they're proud of and what they love about each other. And you had parents crying and hugging each other.
Because
and
it's so
kids
powerful.
So powerful.
Yeah.
And they're moments that you sit back and you're like bloody proud of what we're able to do, because they didn't know they needed it. And you see them in the room, and they're the ones that, like, it's great working with staff and things, but when you can have an impact on parents and their kid like that, I just sit there and I was thinking, I would love to have that experience one day with my kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what made me.
I'm sitting here getting a little bit emotional. I'm reflecting upon
We're getting them all to cry.
Oh, man, you guys are making us vulnerable and opening up. We're supposed to do that to you guys. We did a community session about a year ago, because not everyone, if you're not getting us through a school or through a corporate gig, then there's lots of families out there that don't get to get exposed to us. So we did a community session, booked out a massive theatre, and just anyone could come. And it was incredible. Like, the atmosphere in the room was, and my mum came, and Dale was doing his main thing. So when I had the chance, I ran out into the crowd and I sat next to my mum to play some of the activities. And the conversation that we went, how deep it went, that we had some things that have never come up in our conversations before. And mum was crying, I was crying. It was just, and even for my mum to go, oh, it's nice to see what you actually do, and it's nice to feel it. But for the conversations that we had through those activities, and that's when you know it works. And I just got a little bit emotional thinking about that moment with my own mum. I'm 40 years old. Yeah, what we can do, it's just, we're really proud that we can make relationships happen like that.
And have that impact.
Yeah, and have
right?
that impact. Yeah, we're really proud about it. Not to gloat and stuff, but it feels really good.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is important to be proud of what you do. And moments like that, we are. And it is a really nice experience.
And also, I think taking the time to reflect, and sometimes you need to give yourself a clap on the shoulder.
This is why this is nice.
Yeah. We both shed a tear.
Yeah. Happy tears.
No, happy tears.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kerstin.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No worries.
This was great for you sharing. I think it's really impactful what you're doing, and it's, look, crying or tearing up, but we're all having big smiles on our face.
Yes, exactly
so
right.
I think that's the school of play for you,
Yep.
and that's having fun for you, having fun at work and fun with what you do. And thank you very much for having this
Thank you.
conversation.
And Kirsten, you've been amazing.
Yeah.
You've
host,
done a
so
great
thank
job.
you very much.
And thank you, FaZe, for having us.
Yeah, FaZe, incredible. You should be incredibly proud of the community that you've built here, and it's gone from strength to strength, and it's a lot of fun that you work hard, play hard, and so it's been incredible. So thanks for having us.
Thank you. Done well.
Thank you.